Hello and welcome to our 10th session where we are going to work on some of the examples of these methods. So, to begin with, we are already having our Unity file open. So, I will now come back to my script, that is in the scripts folder we have a mover.cs file, double click to open it. So, it is open in Visual Studio Pro, and now opening this we are now going to actually create a method and see how we can use it. So, to begin with, here I am going to come, where are we going to write the methods? See, we are after this start statement and update statement, before this closing end curly braces, we are going to put our methods. So, right now, what is the first method that we are going to add? Say for example, I am going to create a method, and the purpose of this method is to actually print the instruction of our game on the screen. So, before printing it on the screen, we are right now going to print it to our console to just test it. So, we are going to now create a method called as print instructions, and this print instructions is only going to do the job of printing the instructions, and it is not going to return any value. So, just like in the last session we discussed, we are going to make this method void, and we are going to call this as print instructions. Remember, methods always start with capital letter. Variables start with small letter, this method starts with capital letter. So, print instructions in open close parenthesis. Now, I am not declaring any argument here, there is no parameter that we are designed for this. Now, I am going to then come to next line and add two curly braces, one open curly braces and close curly braces. So, void print instructions is our method, and right now we have to now write our code or commands in this code block. What do we want this command to do? It has to print some instructions to my console. So, to do it, I am going to use the command, Unity's internal command called as debug underscore period log. Debug period log, in which L is capital, and in open close parenthesis, this is a built-in internal Unity function which is going to print whatever value I give it in this parenthesis. So, here I am going to give a string. So, I have to use inverted comma, and between the inverted comma I am going to type now welcome to obstacle game, and I am going to end this line with a colon, and now I am going to save this file. Now, I have written print instructions and I want to write two more lines. So, for this, mentioning the instructions on how to play this game. Now, I will select this debug.log, again copy, and I will paste it, and in the second line I am going to type use WASD or arrow keys to move the player. This is the first instruction. Then I will come to next line and again paste the line which you had copied, and here I will write avoid hitting the walls and obstacles. So, these are the three lines of my instructions. So, once I have added these instructions, I will go to file, save this, and now if I come to Unity, I will open, see that the script is now getting compiled, and once the script is completely compiled, say it is compiling. Now, if I come to console, if I play and see in the console, nothing is going to appear. Why? Well, I will stop the playback. Now I will come back here. What is happening is, here you have declared the method. Now print instructions method has all the instructions about how to print, but we are not calling it anywhere. So the challenge is, you have to call the method, and how you have to call the method is, this has to print the instruction once as soon as I play the game. So how are you going to call it? I want you to try on yourself. Okay. So if you have tried it and if you are successful, congratulations. Or else I will now show it to you. You have the print instruction is, that is our method is ready, and this method has to execute, and there are two places where you can execute this command in Unity. One is as soon as you start the game, that is present here in the start, and another is when you update the game. Right now, according to the instruction, this command has to run only once. It means that now I have to place this command in my start block. So I will come to void start, and in between this parenthesis in the code block, I am now going to type, just I am going to call this print instruction command. I see, you can immediately see here print instructions visible. I will select it with open close parenthesis, and I will end it with a semicolon. So this is how we call a method or a function. So we have print instructions followed by open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and end it with a semicolon. I will go to file, choose save, and then now if I execute it, so let it compile, and now when I execute the game, you can now see, welcome to obstacle game, use WASD or arrow keys to move the player, avoid hitting the walls and obstacles. So you can see the instructions now printed to the console. Let us now come back to Unity here. Now I want to show you one more example where we are going to return a value and also add parameters. So we are now going to declare a method which is going to return some value, and also it is going to actually provide you with, it also asks you to provide some parameters. So for this, say for example now here I want to add two, that is numbers. I want to add two numbers, and I am going to write a method. So for this, the method I am going to write is, I am going to write the method as integer, because this method is now going to return an integer, and I am going to call it as add, and in open close parenthesis I want an integer input which is called as a, and another integer input which is called as b. So what I have now declared is, I have declared a method called as add, which has two parameters a and b, which are both of integers. Okay. After declaring it, then I will come to the next line and add the curly braces, and in between the curly braces I am now going to say it, return a plus b. So it is now going to return a plus b, and I am going to end it with colon. So now what this function does is, this function is now going to add two numbers, and it is going to give you back an integer. Now here, along with the print instructions, we are now going to call another method That is, I will directly put here debug.log, and in the parenthesis I am going to call this add function, and in parenthesis I am going to give two numbers, say for example 45, 30, and I am going to end this line with a semicolon. So, now we are giving two parameters to this method add, and we are going to get back this value. Now, I will go to file, choose save, and now when I come back to Unity and when I execute the game, you can now see that you have the number 75 here printed. That is, and if I stop the game and if I come back here and if I change the value, instead of 4530, if I make it 7530, and if I save this and if I come back here and if I run it, now I will execute the game and you can now see you got 105. So, I will stop the game. Now, I will come back here and I will remove both these lines. This is no more needed for me. I will remove this. I will also remove this void print instruction and int add. This is not needed in our code. This is just for example I showed you. But one thing now I want to do is, I want to show you one more thing which we called is refactoring of the code. Refactoring of the code means, for example here in update we were using these three lines. That is, we are getting the x value from input get axis, z value from input x axis, and we are creating the movement. Now, instead of typing this entire code in update, I am going to select all these three lines in the update and I am going to cut it. I am going to remove it, and coming below update, I am now going to create a new method. This method is void because it is not going to return anything, and I am going to call this method as move player, and in parenthesis we are not giving any parameters to it, and I will come to next line, add the flower braces, and in between the flower braces now I will paste this code. So, now what happened? These three lines of codes we have converted into a method, and now in update we are going to just call this method move player, open close parenthesis, and end it with semicolon. So, now what we did was, we refactored the code. The advantage of using it like this is, now whenever we want to move the player in our script, we need not write this entire batch of code. We can just use this method move player and call these functions using this one line or one method. So, now I think you are getting a brief idea about how to declare methods and how to use it. Okay. So, now I will go to file, choose save, I will save this. Now, I will come back to Unity, allow for the script to compile, I will clear the console, there are no errors. Now, if I play the game, you can now see that the same effect is obtained over here. The game is playing just like before. See, it is playing just like before how we were playing. It is playing in the same way. So, now I think you got an idea about how to use the methods. So, with this we have given you some of the examples of how to use methods, some real life examples and some coding examples, and in our next that is session we are going to write a method to detect collisions. Thank you.